As many of you know, we just recently had a brand new grandbaby, the first girl out of six. We've got another one coming in just under 2 months. And little Owen will be here, and we'll be really excited to see him too. He will be grandchild number 7, and he will be one of the 6 boys in the family. Ellie is the first girl. But I remember when the first conversation started about Ellie being on her way and looking at mommy's belly and going, I don't see it. I see nothing. There's nothing there. In fact, as we get close to Owen being here, we still see mommy's belly and go, are you sure? Because there's not a lot of nothing there. Or you can tell there's a bump there, but without that bump, you wouldn't know, right? So here's the question I have for you. Are you in a season in your life where you're begging and pleading God for something new, for someone new, for a new beginning, a new opportunity, a new career, a new relationship, a new start, just a fresh start? I'll take all the trouble I already have. I'll take all of the problems. I just want to start over. I want another chance at this. And then you hear that promise from God. It's coming. Something new is coming. Something new is on the horizon. There's a new opportunity headed your way. A new relationship, a new career, the next level. It doesn't mean that we're always destitute, that we have absolutely nothing, that we're longing for something more. Maybe it's just in the relationship with God, we're longing for something deeper in God than we've had before. Some new place of worship, some new quiet time level, where we begin to hear something from God that we've never heard before. As I continue to grow in my faith, I know that over time, what He's birthed in me is a passion for others. And as time goes on, that passion for others continues to grow. And that passion for others is like a little seed. And the baby bump is just barely beginning to appear. Like the bump in the ground when the seed starts to push its way up. Before it ever breaks through the soil, before it ever grows a blossom, before it ever captures the first ray of sunlight in its own little leaves. There's been something happening. Dynamic explosions of cells reproducing, dirt being pushed out of the way, clutter being pushed out of the way. This little seed has done so much underground, invisible, behind the backs of everyone in the world, that as it's growing deep inside, there's a whole chemical process that we could watch under a microscope that would boggle the mind. Nutrients taken in, waste pushed out, the dirt around it pushed away, as it fights its way to survive and to live. So it was with baby Ellie. Baby Ellie started as smaller than the head of this pen, but now I can hold her in my hands, and one day she'll be a full-grown human. You know, when God birthed that thing, though, we had no question that that seed would be a human. We never thought, well, will she go to the hospital and come home with a giraffe? Will she go to the hospital and come home with a new bicycle? Will she go to the hospital and come home with a new car? It doesn't work that way. What God birthed in there births after the thing that you planted. And when you plant a human, what you grow is a human. When you plant elephant seeds, what you grow are, well, elephants. When you plant bitterness and rage, guess what grows? When you plant jealousy, when you plant disappointment, when you plant hurt, what do you think grows? That's exactly what grows. Because whatever you plant, that's what you're going to reap. If you're climbing on the mountain and crying out to God, God, I want something new in my life, ask yourself this: what have you in this season been planting? Maybe it is a drought. Maybe you've planted the seed and you're waiting for the rain for the drought to be over so that the seed can grow. Maybe the harvest looks like something entirely different. You know, when they harvest wheat, it doesn't look like a sandwich. Nope. When harvest comes in of wheat, it looks like somebody just cut the grass. It doesn't look like you're ready to make a sandwich with it. It doesn't look like you're ready to make a cake with it. It doesn't look like you're about to make a pie. There's something even in the time of harvest that requires process to continue. Surely baby Ellie is here. We can see her, we can touch her, we can feel her, we can kiss her little forehead, we can hear her cry, we can feed her and watch her grow. But from now until she's an adult living out what God's called her to do, there's a process. And while the harvest may have begun because the seed has come to its fruition, what God wants to do with it isn't done yet. And I believe the same is true of you. Maybe the bump is just beginning to appear. Maybe that thing God wants to do in your life hasn't even broken through the soil yet. Maybe the opportunity that he's called you for, the thing he's calling you to do, isn't visible yet. That doesn't mean it's not there. That doesn't mean it's not already working with tiny explosions of cells growing in their place, taking root where they belong, creating new life and the ability to produce more life, which will produce more life, which will produce more life until it's time for harvest. But God's got to plant that seed down deep in good soil and then wait for the rain. And even when the rain is ready to come, you might be like Elijah's servant who says, I don't see it. At 1 Kings chapter 18, Elijah said to Ahab, up on your feet, eat and drink and celebrate. Rain is on the way. I hear it coming. Now you got to remember they've been through years of drought and famine as a result of the drought. In the Old Testament, one of the ways God punished the people of Israel was when they were disobedient, famine came. Because that's how God controlled the marketplace. That's how God told them, you're out of line with my will. And your ability to be commercially successful when you're disobedient to me is going to be restricted. I'm not going to allow you to be financially successful and be on the top of your game when you're not in line with me. And so King Ahab had experienced that. King Ahab had seen a drought in his land. He had also seen the prophets of Baal overrunning all of the righteousness of his land and the children led astray. And in this one sequence, Elijah calls the prophets of Baal to the top of the mountain. He's like, well, let's see whose God is a real God. Is it your God or is it my God? You call down fire, I'll call down fire. And whichever God is able to produce the fire, that's the God we'll serve. That's the God we'll worship. And the rest of us will shut up. And after all the taunting and all the harassing and all the challenging, the prophets of Baal were unable to get their God to bring down fire. Elijah accused him of being in the bathroom. He accused him of being asleep or away on vacation or just not paying any attention, or perhaps he forgot his name. But when Elijah called on God, he called on God against all odds. They didn't just surround the pit with stones. They filled the pit to overflowing with water so that the fire on the altar would be wet. It would be saturated so that even what you thought was going to be hopeful and easy for God to do is made more complicated. Have you been at that season in your life where it seems like the blessing for God, you've done all you can to pull the dirt back so that little seed can pop up. You've done all you can to keep the weeds away from it. You've done all you can to protect it. And God's going, no, bring it on. Heap on all the bad that you can. Pour on every tragedy, every calamity, every broken heart, every painful relationship, every moment of financial curiosity or financial fear and anxiety. Pour it on so that when I do this, you'll know no one else could have done this. It was only God who could have done it. And Elijah said, go ahead, do whatever you want to do. Because I'm telling you, my God is real and my God is faithful. And when I call down fire, he doesn't care what's there. He's going to consume it with fire. And so he did. And in the next passage, after Elijah dispatches all of the prophets of Baal, has them utterly slaughtered, Elijah said to Ahab, up on your feet, eat and drink, celebrate, rain is on the way, I hear it coming. Now, Elijah just made quite a declaration. The rain is coming, I can hear it, when there's been 3 years of drought and famine. Ahab did it. He got up, he ate and drank, and meanwhile Elijah climbed to the top of Mount Carmel, bowed deeply in prayer, his face between his knees, and then he said to the young servant, "On your feet now, and look toward the sea." He went, and he looked, and he reported back, "I don't see anything." "Keep looking," Elijah said, 7 times if necessary. 7 times. How many times do you have to look for that seed before it breaks through the ground? How many times do you look for the baby belly before the baby arrives? 9 months, right? There's a process. It takes time. God says the seed is there. It's alive. It's coming. It's alive and it's coming. But every seed has a different gestation period. Every seed takes a different amount of time to grow. Every seed requires certain nutrition and things to take place in order for it to become what it's designed to become. He went and he looked and he reported back, "I don't see a thing." And Elijah said, "Keep looking," 7 times if necessary. And sure enough, the 7th time he said, "Oh yes, a cloud. But it's really small. I mean, it's no bigger than someone's hand rising out of the sea." And sometimes that seed comes and we look at God and we go, "Really? That's the answer? All the prayer that I put in, all the time that I put in, all the Bible study I put in, all the relationship building I put in, everything I've done, and that's what comes of that? That tiny little seed? That's it? Really, God? That's it?" It's no bigger than someone's hand rising out of the sea. "Quickly then, on your way, tell Ahab, saddle up and get down the mountain before the rain stops you." Now you know that assistant was thinking, he has surely lost his mind. That cloud is no bigger than the size of a man's hand. There's no way it's going to dump enough rain to stop us from getting down the side of the mountain. That's just crazy. He's crazy. It's crazy talk. "Saddle up and get down the mountain before the rain stops you." Things happened fast. The sky grew black in the wind-driven clouds. Then a huge cloudburst of rain, with Ahab hightailing it in his chariot for Jezreel, and God strengthened Elijah mightily. Pulling up his robe and tying it around his waist, Elijah ran in front of Ahab's chariot until they reached Jezreel. I hear say that's about 15 to 20 miles. And Elijah ran on foot and outran the chariot all the way there because God empowered him to do. You may be in a season in your life right now where you're looking at the seeds of hope and you're looking at the seeds of your future and you're asking, what will it be when it grows up, God? I see the little bump in the dirt. I see the little bump, but I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know what it's going to turn into. I don't know what you've called me to next. I don't know what's coming. Then ask yourself this: what did you plant? What did you put in the ground in that place that you now see a bump? Because whatever you planted, that's what you're going to harvest. If you've planted seeds of faith and trust in God that He would be your provision, that He would guide your way, that He would build your relationships, that's what you're going to harvest. If you planted a seed of compassion, concern for people in third world countries, that's what you're going to harvest. The fruit to do the work to bless those people. If it's financial ability and you've sown your seed of finances, that's what you're going to harvest. Because you will not harvest different than the seed that you planted. God won't be mocked. Whatever you sow, that's what you're going to reap. Elijah prayed for sunshine? No, they had plenty of that. Elijah prayed for horses? No, they had plenty of that. Elijah prayed for a snowstorm? No. He prayed for rain. He sowed the seed to God, I want rain, at the right time. When he called down fire from heaven, fire came from heaven. When he called down rain from heaven, rain came from heaven. What are you praying into existence? What are you sowing in seed? That's what you're going to harvest. That's what you're going to see. Now, let me caution you. You may see a fruit that you didn't intend to sow. And you may see a fruit that looks similar to what you've sown, but God's anointed it with something else. What are you planting in the ground? What are you preparing for the future? What are you doing to be ready for next? God will honor your faithfulness, and God is always faithful. No word from His mouth returns void. What are you planting? What are you sowing? There will be a day then you will see that bump become large enough to produce life. And then you'll see that life in the beginning of the harvest. And even then you'll say, what will this become. Stay faithful. Stay steady. Believe him who said, I will complete the work that I have begun. And everything may be destroyed, but no dot and no tittle from my word will ever be replaced. God will do what he promised to do. Even if right now you're looking and you're saying, but God, I see nothing. Oh, something's coming. It's coming. I'm J Loren Norris, and you've been watching Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.